Everyone, welcome. So the stories we're about to get into are, no question, absolutely terrifying. But we're not just here to tell scary stories. What we're going to do is actually deconstruct these close calls, look right past the fear, and find the hidden patterns, the predator's playbook, and the survival instincts that made all the difference. It's time to decode the danger. It all starts with something like this. A simple, almost offhand piece of advice from a motel clerk. It sounds so casual, right? Like he says it to everyone. But it's a warning, and it totally sets the stage for everything that comes next. You know, it's that first little crack in the illusion that the world is totally safe, especially when you're on your own, far from home.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to start with that initial quiet feeling, that gut instinct that something is just off. Then we'll map out the common tactics these predators use. After that, we'll dive into that internal battle between your intuition and your logical brain. Then we'll look at the moment of truth, those critical seconds where survival is decided. And finally, we'll pull out the huge lessons we can all learn from these insane close calls.
So almost every single one of these stories, it doesn't start with a bang. It starts with this quiet, unsettling hum in the background. It's some little detail that just doesn't quite fit, and that is your subconscious sending up the very first flare that you might be in danger.
I mean, think about it. You've got the motel clerk's weirdly specific advice. You have the guy in the diner telling a solo camper it gets real quiet out there at night. It's even in the tense way Misty's mom was driving, her own anxiety creating this thick atmosphere before anything even happened. These are the first small cracks that appear in the surface of a normal day.
And this is what's so important to get. These first warnings can look completely different. On one hand, you have something that's just overtly strange and threatening. A guy in a truck, engine running, lights off, just staring. I mean, that just screams danger, right? But then on the flip side, you've got Jeffrey Dahmer. He's not scary, he's just awkward and nervous and kind of weird. Both are huge red flags, but one is a shout and the other is a whisper. Okay, so let's shift gears and look at how this all escalates. Because you'll see that even though the scenarios are all different, predators often lean on a surprisingly similar set of psychological tricks. They have a playbook, and it's designed to isolate you, intimidate you, and get you to drop your guard long before they ever make their move.
So, it really boils down to 3 key steps. First, they get you alone, away from anybody who could possibly help. Second, they test your boundaries. A weird knock on the door, a strange question, just to see how you'll react, to see what they can get away with. And third, they hide behind this mask of being normal, using a cover story or a friendly face to make you lower your guard.
And this slide is a perfect illustration of that first tactic, isolation. Think about it. Mike the camper is miles from anyone. The motel guest is an out-of-towner. Nobody knows him there. Leah specifically picks a remote park where they're going to be totally alone. And the weepy voice killer over and over again goes after women who are by themselves. I mean, the pattern is just undeniable, right? Predators hunt on the edges, away from the herd.
And here's that second tactic in action, deception, the mask they wear. Dahmer wasn't a monster at prom, he was just a socially awkward kid. The guy in the van wasn't a threat, he was a caretaker worried about poachers. Leah wasn't setting a deadly trap, she was just an attractive, fun date. It's this mask of normalcy that makes it so incredibly hard for us to trust that bad feeling in our gut.
This leads us to a really critical part of these encounters, that internal conflict. It's that little voice in your head screaming, something is wrong here. And it's clashing with the other part of your brain that's saying, don't be rude, or you're just overreacting, or there's probably a perfectly logical explanation for this.
And just look at how often this plays out. The motel guest talks himself into staying, saying he's just tired. Bridget Geiger goes to Dahmer's party, even though a part of her knows it makes absolutely no sense. Mike the camper sees the empty trailhead as a warning sign, but pushes past it. Rachel goes to the cemetery, even when her gut is telling her to bail. They all felt it, but they let social pressure or that nagging self-doubt talk them out of it. But then, you have this. This is just pure, raw intuition. Misty has no idea why she has a bad feeling. She can't explain it, but that feeling is so strong, so absolute, that she is begging her mom to just listen to it. This quote right here is the perfect example of that primal alarm system just screaming at you, even when you can't logically piece together why.
So, what happens when the mask finally comes off and the danger becomes real? Well, that's the moment of truth, isn't it? It's the point where politeness and doubt just evaporate, and a person's actions, whether they're big or small, aggressive or passive, are what decide what happens next.
Derek's story is a perfect high-stakes example of this.
He feels something is wrong the second that van blocks him in. He clocks Leah's furious texting. And when the trap is finally sprung, he doesn't freeze. As a cop, he's trained for this. He refuses to comply, he fights back, and he uses his own weapon to completely flip the script on them. His actions directly change the outcome of that night.
But here's the thing. Fighting back isn't the only way to survive. Let's look at this comparison. On the left, you've got direct action. Jamming a chair under the door, calling 911, using a bottle as a weapon. But on the right, survival looks totally different. Mike the camper makes it through by staying completely still, by being silent. His inaction was his best defense. And Killian's victim, in that terrifying moment, smiles, a completely unexpected reaction that might have been just confusing enough to make her attacker hesitate. The key takeaway here, survival isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
All right, so we've looked at the patterns. Now let's really boil it all down to the crucial lessons. What can we actually learn from all this? What are the key takeaways that emerge from these stories?
Okay, lesson number 1, and honestly, this is the most important one of all.
Your gut feeling, your intuition, that is your first line of defense, period. It's your subconscious picking up on danger patterns way faster than your conscious brain can. Take the waitress who helps catch a serial killer. She didn't have any hard evidence, she just had a really bad feeling about the guy. But she trusted it, she paid attention, and that feeling helped solve a murder case.
Okay, next up, we have to talk about how our own politeness can be a huge liability. Predators count on the fact that most of us will put up with a lot of weird, uncomfortable stuff just to avoid being rude or making a scene. They literally use our desire to be nice as a weapon to get closer, to test our boundaries, and to keep us from acting on our instincts until it's way too late.
Yeah, this is one of the most chilling parts for me, that handwritten note. It proves that the attack at the motel wasn't just some random crime of opportunity. The guest was watched. His room number, his license plate, it was all written down. He was selected. It just hammers home the terrifying fact that these predators are often methodical. They watch, they plan, and they wait.
So this chart really helps visualize a key theme we've been seeing. While an attack might feel totally random to the person it's happening to, the patterns here suggest that there's a high degree of planning and observation involved. Predators often pick the isolated motel, or the remote park, or the solo traveler for a very specific reason. And knowing this really drives home why situational awareness is so important.
And that brings us to the final question. That feeling you get in the pit of your stomach, the hair standing up on the back of your neck, that sudden overwhelming urge to just get out of there, that's not you being paranoid. That's your ancient survival system, fine-tuned over thousands of years, screaming a warning at you. These stories teach us one ultimate lesson. Your fear is a signal. It's trying to tell you something absolutely vital. The only question is, are you listening?